Hey folks, how's it going? Andrew Torba, co-founder and CEO of Gab here. Wanted to go live about this topic because I don't want there to be any PR spin or anything like this. I think this is something that makes Gab different than the big tech companies. We connect with you. We care about what we're doing here. We genuinely believe in our mission of defending free speech for everyone. So when we ban someone, it's not something that we take lightly. It's something that we take a lot of consideration. We put a lot of thought into it. We look at the facts of the situation, and then we make a decision. And ultimately, no matter what decision we make, it's going to have an impact on our community, on me personally, in a lot of cases, on my family. There's a lot of reverberation with every decision like this, and we're prepared to take it because I think we're making the right decision. So, first of all, doxing is one of the very few user guidelines that we have. Gab supports the freedom of speech, but the freedom of speech certainly has limitations. And on Gab, those limitations come in the form of our user guidelines, which are very, very clear. I believe they're very fair. They're very common sense. And doxing is a part of that. So being anonymous is crucial for a lot of people, for probably millions of people, in order to be able to speak freely and express themselves freely on the internet. Because a lot of people, can't say the things that they want to say, whether it's a political opinion or a thought or whatever, in real life or, behind their real name. There are just certain situations where people need to be anonymous. And we cherish people who want to be anonymous. We cherish their right to privacy. We cherish their right to remain anonymous if they so choose. That is a part of speaking freely. And when your intent is to maliciously expose someone, I think intent is really a big part of this, right? There's also a few different forms of doxing, right? So we have, if someone posts your address, if someone posts your social security number, your credit card number, etc., that stuff is common sense. Like, we don't allow it. It's going to be removed. There's no question. There's no ambiguity about it. It's a pretty straightforward process in terms of enforcement. But when someone just names a name, says John Smith, Anon X is John Smith, for example, right? I think there's a lot of context there to take into consideration. So is it speculation? Is it satire? Is there malicious intent behind it? What is, those are the things. Who is actually saying it? Is it another anonymous account that has 20 followers? Or is it a congressional candidate that is saying it? Because there's going to be a big difference. If a random anon account is saying this, no one's probably going to pay attention. No one's going to take it seriously. Is it trolling? Are they just speculating? Are they just saying nonsense to stir up controversy, right? But when a congressional candidate says it, or somebody of influence makes a claim like this, it holds a lot more weight. And especially when you question what their intent behind doing this is. And I think when it's clear that it's malicious, then it becomes a problem. So there really is a big philosophical question here of what is speculation, what is satire, what is, just trolling, and what is malicious intent in order to silence someone else's voice, right? And I think there's a big difference there, and we have to figure out and iron out what the clarity around that issue is. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you, the community, on how we can do that. We're not perfect, guys. We're human. We're going to make mistakes, and we tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. So in this example, Paul Nehlen, we actually gave Paul a chance in the past, and we tend to do this. We tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. Hey, you messed up. This is against our guidelines. Please remove it. Go forward. Going forward, don't do it again. Right? Pretty standard stuff. We treat you like human beings. We treat you with empathy and with respect when we're enforcing our guidelines. But, our kindness can only go so far. So Paul has doxed people in the past on Gab. He's posted, I believe, their phone number or something of this nature from people that were, harassing him on Facebook, I believe it was at the time. And, we reached out to him and we said, Paul, this is against our guidelines. You can't post private information without someone's consent on Gab. So Paul is absolutely aware of Gab's user guidelines when he made the decision to post this personal private information about somebody. So he was warned, and he did comply with this in the past. But again, here's the thing. Our kindness can only be stretched so far, right? we can't be known as the place where people get doxxed and we allow it to happen. There has to be consequences to it. And again, it's a gray area, because you look at Twitter's guidelines and they allow you to claim, hey, anonymous is John X, right? They allow you to post names without repercussion because they know as well that it's a very difficult situation. But I think the context is important and the intent is important, and who is delivering the message is also important when making a judgment call on this type of stuff. So, here's the thing. Paul also admitted publicly after the fact that doxing is wrong. And he then proceeded to also delete the post where he doxed somebody. But here's the thing. You can't put the toothpaste back into the tube. The damage is already done. And now this individual, we still don't know. I still have no idea if this individual is Ricky Vaughn or not, right? But now we have this individual who was named being attacked and maligned and harassed and threatened and having his livelihood, under attack by trolls and by other anons and by the press. And that's not okay. That's not okay with me. I think there needed to be some form of consequence to what Paul did. Paul knew he was wrong in doing it. He knew our policy on doxing and on exposing private information. But the damage has already been done, and we have to set an example here. We have to set a precedent. We have to let anons know that we stand by them and that we want to protect their privacy. We want to protect their identity. And, I think this is the right decision. There's only so many, there's only so many chances we can give. Our kindness is only going to stretch so far before we have to take action. This is not a personal decision. This is a business decision. This is a decision for the protection of our community, for the protection of what we're trying to do. Because if people are fearful of, having their families be attacked and threatened and their livelihood in jeopardy, they're not going to want to speak freely on Gab. It's just not going to happen. So we had to take action, and effective immediately, Paul Nehlen is banned from Gab for multiple violations of our private information policy, private information sharing policy. So going forward, we're really going to look forward to feedback from the community on this problem, on this issue. I know Twitter allows people to post random names and dox people effectively, but we're not Twitter. We care about anons. We care about the speech of anons, and we care about protecting their privacy and their right to remain anonymous. And that's why we're different. We don't have to mirror Twitter. And this is something that we've been discussing internally as a team. We've been discussing as a community for the past 48 hours or so. So this is not a decision that I take lightly. This is not a decision that the team takes lightly. We listen to everybody's voice on this issue, and I think that we're making the right decision. And I just wanted to go live about it and humanize this decision, because I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of feedback. And in our position, really, there's no right answer, right? Because no matter what decision I make in a scenario like this, I'm going to have certain groups that are going to be mad about it. But I think that we're making the right decision in this call, and we're setting a precedent, and we're saying that we stand by the free speech and the free expression and the privacy of anonymous internet users and anonymous gabbers, and we will stand by and protect their anonymity. Messed that up a little bit. Anyway, so I wanted to humanize this process. I didn't want to do a dry press release or anything like this. I wanted to come to you guys and be real about the situation and lay out the timeline and lay out our thinking behind this, and hopefully get some more feedback from you going forward on how we can prevent this in the future, and how else we can enforce it as well. So thanks for listening. Thanks for your continued support and feedback. This really is a network, a community by the people. It's not just an authoritarian, making decision and then saying, F you guys, whatever you think about it, we don't care. That's not the case. We really, truly do care, and we do not take these decisions lightly. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for listening, and hopefully this makes sense, and I hope you agree with our decision. Thanks, guys.